I am a man of honor, integrity, and promise. I pursue all righteousness. I love my family. I will not put my family in harm's way. There is nothing that will keep me from doing the right thing. I am an ambassador of hope and a man of discipline. I am a man worth following. I am a TYRO.
Welcome to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And for those of you that don't know who we are, Ron and I are the co-founders of the Ridge Project and the co-creators of TYRO.
TYRO is a Latin word which means apprentice, novice, someone learning something new, a warrior.
And we created the programs of TYRO out of our own personal journey through 15 years of incarceration and poverty. And I will tell you what, we learned so much on how to overcome every obstacle through all of it, the whole journey, the prison visits, the reentry, the reestablishation of our family, if that's even a real word.
Reestablishation. That's a pretty cool word.
Yeah, thank you.
Reestablishing. Okay. and that's what brings us to today's segment, about how to reestablish yourself once you're in prison, coming out, or what is better known as reentry, right? How do you transition from one place to another successfully without hurting anyone, without hurting yourself, and without going back to what got you there in the first place?
So when we think about reentry, we're talking about, coming back into a place and entering back into society, into your family, into your home, and into your children's lives. This is a big deal because it's not like just one thing that you're having to reenter. It is multiple different peer groups, multiple different cultures, and it's really important that you're totally prepared for what it is you're about to face.
And multiple levels of responsibility.
That's right.
I remember when I first came home, one of the first things that happened when I first came home, we were home, we're at the dinner table, and one of the first things Cathy did was she had all the bills in a pile, and she had the checkbook right next to her.
I was so done.
And she pushed them all.
Here you go, baby. Welcome home.
And I did what every man should do, is I pushed them back. I said, baby, look, I barely managed $18 a month. Why don't you teach me, show me how you were able to.
I was like, no.
But I needed to know in the process, how did you get us out of poverty? How did you manage these numbers and these books and all this type of stuff without going in further debt? Because had I then taken upon myself, I'm the man, give me that checkbook, I'll do it. You know what? I believe I would have messed it up. I would have put us into debt. I would have messed up the credit cards. I would have made her name doo-doo.
But
right?
So thankfully, we navigated through that together. Well, today, on the show today, on TYRO TV today, we're going to have a special guest with us, Dan Williams. So Dan has been out of prison for 5 years. Ron's been out of prison going on 11 years.
11 years. Woo!
His 11th year. And so we want to hear from both you, Ron, and from Dan on what did it take, what were the experiences you had, and then we're going to talk about why is it important to be prepared for those, and then the last segment, we're going to talk about how. How do you actually prepare yourself inside in order to be able to re-enter all of those places?
This also brings the segue of having a guest on our show, because we're really excited we're really revamping TYRO TV to really get more interactive, bring people from the community onto the show, and to really ask the questions that you're asking and have the answers for you, so it can help you along the way of your journey from one place to another, or from re-entering society, because we want you to be successful, but we know that in order to be successful, this is learned behavior. So instead of trying it on your own and going to trial and error, why don't we ask an expert on what they did to overcome the adversities or the trials that they had to when they get out of prison.
And so we have got plenty of resident experts here at the Ridge Project, and we have a very special guest. When we come back, you are going to meet Dan Williams.
So stay tuned, and we'll be back.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You'll begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions. to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we are talking about successful reentry and what that means.
Successful reentry from where?
From prison.
From penitentiary. That life, that gloomy place where you can either become better or become bitter, right? And today we have a special guest with us by the name of Dan Williams. And Dan, we are so thrilled to have you here. Not only part of the TYRO program, but really part of our family. And I tell you what, it's been a long time coming. You've been a great asset to the organization. But we wanted to take time today to really share with the audience and ask you questions. And I think Cathy's gonna be the main.
Yeah.
We're the main
I'm going to
event.
interview these two fellas. We've got our decade and our half a decade of being successfully home. And so, Dan, I want to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about, when you think about the word reentry, and what is that? I mean, what does that mean to you?
Well, having both the experience in the past of being in the military and having been away from family there, and then also going through incarceration, reentry has two distinct but also similar interpretations. Essentially just returning home. And I've had to do that as a returning service member and unfortunately as a convicted felon. That experience of returning home, and two different experiences, I would say also. So reentry, definitely the embodiment of that process of returning home.
So one way that you return home with honors, and with even if the community were to come and celebrate you. And the other way you came home was with a cloud of shame and guilt and remorse, and just really maybe even didn't want nobody to know you were coming home, or besides your family.
Right. Well, I think for me, there was a transition that happened during my incarceration that dealt primarily with my own guilt and shame. However, there definitely was that distinction in the way the community received me, coming home from the military versus coming home from being incarcerated. So there definitely was the label, the judgment, the stigmas that were associated with coming home from being incarcerated.
So real quick, I want to talk about that label the label from the warrior hero. From the warrior survivalist.
That's right.
Right? I mean, that's too, you had to survive in the military, so that, but you came home the warrior, the hero. And that, I don't think people really grasp that. You were a survivalist in the penitentiary because you had to maintain your sanity. You had to maintain and really reinvent yourself.
That's true.
Right?
That's correct. That's very correct. If there's an intention, a desire to not return, then it's all the most immediate chance you receive to make that transition is best seized. And for me, that was actually during my incarceration.
So you know what, Dan, what I'd like to talk about a little bit is, so you're obviously a TYRO. You've got your TYRO pin on your TYRO.
Absolutely, wear it proudly.
So tell me a little bit about that process. Like, how did you find out about the TYRO program? When did you take it? And kind of journey from that point to now.
So I was first introduced to the TYRO program. I actually heard about it while incarcerated, although it wasn't being offered where I was. But that was one of the things that I was made aware of that was available for individuals looking to turn their lives around and to embark on the new path of being a man worth following. I unfortunately wasn't able to engage with the program during my incarceration. And I was introduced in 2 years afterward, actually, as I was entering into or playing with the idea of getting a commercial driver's license. And even in that process, there was still the labels. There was still the stigma of re-entering into society as a felon. And so that process was one that was closed to me because of that label. All of the doors, all of the opportunities that I had coming home, re-entering society as a military personnel, re-entering to that same society as a convicted felon, the opportunities were closed. And so the Bridge Project through the TYRO DAS program was the only doorway that was willing to say, not only will we not hold this label against you, but we'll equip you with the tools to be able to make it work for you. And so I entered in 2014. I went through the TYRO DAS program. After the successful completion of which, I began truck driving school. I graduated from truck driving school and went on to become employed with a company that, through the partnership with the Bridge Project, was waiting for me on the other end of my CDL.
Wow.
I went on to work for them, and everything since then has been about really learning and utilizing the tools that were gained through the program to make that label that once worked against me work for me.
Oh, that's great.
So your past doesn't define who you are, but it
qualified you for your future because you love it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So what are you doing now? So you're no longer driving truck?
No longer driving trucks. When I went through the TYRO DAS program, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with everything that really just was equipping individuals to really take their lives, their futures, their past, everything in their own hands, and then make a way out of no way. And I wanted to be involved. I wanted to be a part. I even asked for the next class that was coming up after if I could hand out pencils or papers or whatever I could do to just be a part of the movement. And unfortunately, at that point, I was in truck driving school. So unfortunately, but I had entered in truck driving school before the next class. But I stayed in touch. I stayed in contact. I continued to reach out, and an opportunity to do contract work to kind of facilitate, to teach, opened up. And it was perfect timing. It was God's timing. And I found myself in the position of being able to now stand in front of the class and deliver life-changing principles and curriculum. And so now I do it full time.
So you obviously liked it.
So let's look at the process real quick. So you went from in prison, right? Out of prison, became a TYRO, got a CDL, became gainfully employed, wanted to pursue helping other people.
And then actually went back and taught other people that were seeking their CDL and taught them TYRO.
That's right.
And then actually became an employee, and now you are a TYRO facilitator.
Isn't God awesome?
That is so awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah. Well, we got to take a break. So as soon as we come back, we're going to hear more about why that was important. And then we're going to talk about how to actually make some of those life changes, and then really talk about some of the struggles and how to overcome those. So stay tuned. You are not going to want to miss this. We will be right back.
Playing catch, basketball, laughing, and enjoying each other's company. These are all normal things on the outside, but many times are missed in a visitation setting. TYRO Dads brings the same fun experience to the inside through Family Days. As a TYRO Dad, you have the opportunity to participate in this fantastic event. Family Day is designed to allow fathers and families to engage with each other through activities designed to stimulate communication, learning, and play. Family Days will not only be a highlight for you, but for your children as well. The Ridge Project has strategically developed Family Day as an opportunity to help you connect with your child throughout your separation and help both of you develop skills to continue building your relationship when you return home.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO. And today we are talking about successful reentry. And we've got two resident experts here. We've got Mr. Dan Williams and, of course, my very handsome husband, Mr. Ron TYRO. They're going to share their experience on what it is they had to deal with and how they actually overcame those obstacles to become successful as they reentered society.
You know, we've had a great time talking about what is reentry and really coming to understand the transition from one place to another. But we cannot take it for granted of the hard work that it takes before you leave penitentiary to get ready for today's society, today's world that evolves. So if you're incarcerated at least 1 year, it will not be the same when you come out. Now,
Oh, the world is
right?
changing
It's
so fast.
so fast. So what did we have to do? What did we have to do in order to be ready to accommodate that? Because I remember when I first got out, the shock and awe that hit me with technology. I mean, all we had was the color 17-inch, or not even 17-inch, 13.
It was like 10, 9.
Yeah, it was like a 13-inch color TV, and that was and they had remote control, and that's the most technology that I saw
That you were exposed to?
that I was exposed to, and now he was already exposed to that prior to going in prison. But today's prisoners that are coming home are exposed to a whole new world. And so what I like to hear, Dan, is what you had to do to prepare mentally to adapt quickly with today's world as fast as it's changing with technology, that you're equipped and you're ready to go in today's market. Because one of the things that we got to know, being a TYRO or being a man of honor, that we got to be ready to be taken at our word. Be ready to practice those things that's going to take where somebody's willing to take a chance.
Absolutely. It's funny, as much as things change, many things remain the same. And when you really take a foundational approach to changing, it usually covers the ebbs and flows that happen within the culture. So, for instance, for me personally, it really started with my faith and really submitting myself to my faith and the foundations therein. And that really allowed for me to deal with the changes that happen within the institution, because changes happen
Oh, yeah, all the
readily,
time.
Good point.
Right.
often
Yeah.
there.
Great point.
But also upon my re-entry, being rooted in just patience and having equipped to love, which covers a multitude of things. And so having those things really equipped me from returning home, because like you mentioned, a lot of things change. A lot of people, their dispositions and positions change.
Right.
And so really being able to be okay with the
So
various things.
what I hear you saying, all that's changing around you really is almost irrelevant if there's no change in here.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the change
good
that,
word.
that change that must happen within a man who finds himself incarcerated for the better, not to become bitter, but become better, and really become rooted in himself, understanding. And you use the word love to really understand love and all the characteristics, or the guys or the dudes that walk with love. Patience, you mentioned. Another one is discipline, right? Forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Right? And all these things that you must find yourself equipped with. So even though the world has gone on without you, you too have evolved and have become more mature, stronger, more disciplined. So no matter what you face out there, no matter what shock and awe you face, you're rooted and grounded and you're steady.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. So you came out focused and ready to come out, and determined that you were going to have a different life, that was going to be an event in your life and not a lifestyle. So 2 years you were home, and then you took the TYRO program. So how did the TYRO program help you, because you already were doing well?
Well, that's a great question, actually. So one of the things, and I alluded to earlier, is that, and change, I believe, should happen in stages. And as Ron said, first it's the internal change. And so that was the place where I was successful in most part in being able to align myself with a person that is ready for opportunity. However, there's the next phase where you have to be positioned within or be equipped with the know-how to be successful within society. And so I was having successes personally and in my personal life, but successes in my social life and successes in my professional life, there was that gap. And so being introduced to the Ridge Project and the TYRO Dads program, I was then equipped with how to translate my personal successes into professional successes. And that was one of the things I believe that is key with reentry is being intentional with the steps, the phases of healing.
Right.
And so absolutely personal healing and health was underway, but being introduced to the family and the basic, just the whole community within the Ridge Project, I was then equipped and supported to be able to be successfully, not only internally, but externally.
Wow, wow. So having that support group, and really, I really appreciate what you said about recognizing that, yes, you were having personal victories and upon reentering society, but you've seen something lacking outside of yourself. So what you saw professionally,
Social, professional.
two things: social, which is really your community, right? You didn't see. I'm not sure what you didn't see, but you didn't see the growth you were looking for that you saw in yourself.
Or the opportunities to have
Right. And
re-accepted.
And one of the things that you get through the TYRO program is how to tell your story. And I think that was one of the keys that was missing is really being able to, I understood, and those that watched my transformation understood that I was different,
Right.
that there was a change. But my story also preceded me in other relationships within my community. And so being able to really know how to take that power, the power of my story, to take it back by telling it myself.
There it is.
So, and I think, again, that was one of the tools that helped me, because, again, with family, they watched, they saw the person I was, and they saw my transition and transformation. But society, not so much.
That's
All they
right.
saw was there was a person returning from a place that
Yep.
Right.
the scary people go.
That's
So
right.
being able to take the power of my experience and of my past back by telling my story and knowing how to tell my story and own it. You're only as sick as your secrets. And
That's
so
right.
not letting any secrets or sickness precede me. And so I think,
Yeah.
again, that was one of the most powerful things that I got, was learning how to tell my story in a way that
You know, one of
Yeah.
the things that I wanted to talk about too, and I know Cathy, I get you some
Yeah.
questions, but when we come back, what I really want to hit about is the dreams that you are having in there on how you could become better for those around you.
And especially how you wanted to lead your family and your children. Like what is it you were doing while you were still inside? And then how did that transition out and get to the place today where you are solid?
So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Dear son, it's been hard these last few years, watching you grow up without me in the picture. Never taking the time to find out how you were or what was going on in your life. You're just a boy, I thought. You don't need me. I didn't need my dad. He was never around, I told myself. But I was wrong, son. I'm supposed to be a grown man. I was selfish. I was stupid. I was thinking of me, not you. If I could go back, son, and change things, I would. It's taken me all this time being selfish to finally grow up and realize I need to be a responsible man. That's what I finally learned, not from prison, but the TYRO program. It's all about becoming a better, stronger man. Wish I would have gotten it sooner. Everything looks different to me now. I'm a changed person. I know I need to be there for you now. It's not about me anymore. It's not about being cool. It's not about who I run with. It's about mom. It's about you. It's about being a better man, learning something new in my life. It's about being a TYRO, a man worth following. I'm your dad. You're my son, and I love you. I am a TYRO. I'm a TYRO. Dad.
If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO or just want to know more, contact your local Ridge Project facilitator or your caseworker.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
And I'm Cathy TYRO, and today we're talking about successful reentry with two of our resident experts. We have Mr. Dan Williams, Mr. Ron TYRO, a decade or more home and half a decade home and very successful in pursuing their dreams. And that is exactly what we want for you. Not necessarily that you have to come and be a TYRO facilitator, which would be great too, but so that you have whatever your dreams are, whatever your aspirations and goals are, that you will be able to achieve those, and you'll be able to look back after you've been home for 5 years and say, wow, look where I am.
After 5 years, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, ain't that what it feels like, Dan?
It does.
I mean,
It
so
does, every day.
what's every day like for you since coming home?
It sounds kind of cheesy, but it's great and always getting better. I embrace the challenges of being a father, a husband, a free man. I embrace the challenges, and you can't take anything for granted, even the obstacles. And so every day.
Tell us a story, something, an interaction with you and your kids, something that was like, wow, I'm really glad that I learned what I learned, because that really helped me to be able to be the right dad that I needed to be in that moment, whether that was your older kids or you've got a little one, DJ.
Well, in terms of just things that I've learned, being able to teach some principles and cores and understanding some of the learning barriers. And so I'm like DTIP, for instance. That's one of the things I'm always reciting. DTIP, don't take it personal. Understand that certain things are the way they are. Not to take it personal, and to be able to learn the lessons and receive your blessings. And so don't take it personal. That's definitely one that happens at the ready. So
I mean, even trying to raising up young boys into grown men, healthy men at that, but even telling your sons, hey, don't forget to take the garbage out, they don't do it, and they're your little boys. And I think even knowing that they may not take the garbage out, but don't take it personal when they don't, because they're still learning, right? I think even in my childhood, it was when we didn't take the garbage out, they took it personal, right? My dad took it personal, and we got a whipping. I told you to take that garbage out, boy, right? But I think in our growth, and I really appreciate you saying DTIP, because that has really transformed our thinking, the way we look at life, the way we even move and function in everyday existence, because there's so many things that are coming at us, but it's not about us.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think if we move in that train of thought.
So I'm going to ask both of you this question. Who wants to go first? Before you hear the question, who wants to go first?
I don't know.
Concede.
So Ron will go first.
All right.
So when you came home, what was one thing that was unexpectedly difficult within your first couple of months home? What was one thing that you didn't expect to be as difficult as it was?
Sitting still.
Ooh.
I think for me it was being told to sit still, or being told that hey, you can just relax. You don't got to do nothing, because I think for a lot of us coming home, we're trying to play catch up. We're trying to run fast, and then having to be told, slow down.
Or just enjoy yourself. Take a day off.
Take a day, and it was like, because I felt compelled and out of duty, I gotta do something, or I'm not functioning, right?
What about you, Dan? What was one thing that was unexpectedly challenging that you didn't really expect to be a challenge, but was a challenge the first few months?
There probably is a number that I could pull from, but one of the things I'll go more personal was really just being patient with my immediate circle that wasn't necessarily in the same place that I was, and being okay with that, being okay with the fact that I had gone through this experience. I was the one in the wilderness, per se. I was the one in the fire, and so therefore I had paid for this way of thinking and this new energy for life and this new passion for living. But not everyone had those same experiences, and so not everyone was as enthusiastic about living on purpose the same as I, and just really being able to be okay with the fact that God works in their lives as he did in mine. And so I have to, just like there were those that waited for my deliverance many years of praying and laboring and waiting for mine, I think now it was my turn to be patient with others.
So when we come back, we're going to give you some specific tips and tools that you can begin doing right now as you prepare to go home. And I don't care how much time you have left, you need to be preparing to go home. All right? So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
TYRO Dads will help you to see who you really are on the inside by coming to terms with your past, present, and future. You will begin to move forward by using your time on the inside to transform yourself. We know you're not the only one serving time. Your family is too. Overcoming the issues that existed prior to and during incarceration are often more than what many families can survive. TYRO Dads has a unique method of reaching and healing families based on Ron and Catherine TYRO's own personal experiences. TYRO Dads works exclusively with incarcerated fathers who have minor children. The program lasts for 10 weeks and focuses on intensive character development. You'll be taught to take responsibility for your actions, to own it. You'll be prepared to overcome the obstacles of incarceration and transition back into your home and community, both successfully and permanently. Upon successful completion of this program, you will earn the title of TYRO, which means a warrior, someone learning something new. You will be one of the honored, a man worth following. If you think you have what it takes to be a TYRO, or you want to know more, contact your local project facilitator or your institution staff.
Welcome back to TYRO TV. I'm Ron TYRO.
I'm Cathy TYRO, and here with us today is Mr. Dan Williams, and we are talking about successful re-entry.
You know, Dan Williams is also formerly known as, I got it here, 587408. And I say that formerly known as.
Yeah, and Ron TYRO is formerly known as
250397. Formerly known as.
I wish I didn't remember that so clearly, but after 15 years of what's his number, 250397.
Yeah. But that's a place in our lives that it molded us, it shaped us of the men that we are today. And as ugly as that history and that story, part of our journey, part of our story is, it's our story.
That's right.
And we own it. It doesn't own us. That's what TYRO brings. That's what TYRO empowers people to really own their story.
So since I started with Ron last time, I'm going to start with you this time, Dan. So if you, what is one or two things that you would tell people that right now to begin doing inside the gates so that they are prepared to re-enter either society, the workplace, or their family? Any one of those three.
Well, one of the things that having the privilege actually to go behind the walls and speak to guys, one thing I tell them, and I believe wholeheartedly, is that you have to begin to be honest with self. One of the things that behind those walls that is often said is you don't know whether or not you'll come back. No matter what a person does, whether it's schooling or programming, people, because there's such a high rate of recidivism and people are often returning that have done all kind of things, came home and then returned back to that environment. One of the things that people often say is you don't know if what you're doing will translate into you not coming back. And I attack that way of thinking, saying that's not true. What you have to do is understand that the programming and all of the activities is not what determines it. It's your ability to possess oneself. And so the advice that I would give is to begin to be honest with yourself about how you control the very thing, the urges and the unctions that you have. One thing I often mention is saying with coffee is, we call it mud behind the walls. And guys oftentimes when they drink the coffee, they have theirs, and when they're out, they go around for collection, or even to the store man. And I say to begin to acknowledge the fact that means that your craving, your desire for this thing is greater than your ability to manage for it, to either do your ordering to a lot before you have it, or to simply be able to say, I am content with when having it and without having it. And so one of the biggest things I always say is begin to take that power back. If I'm out, be okay with that, because if you can't control the unctions of your desires, I told guys just last week, it was our desires that got us there. Oftentimes it was our inability to say no to ourselves that landed us in those places. And so we have to be able to say, today I can have a desire for something and control that desire
a good
and reign over it rather than controlling me.
That's right.
And so that is the one key that I would say is that the programming is great. The education and getting GEDs and going on beyond that's all great, but control oneself. And so that is key. If you can say no to the desires that come from within now, today, then when you return home, when you re-enter, that muscle will have been exercised and have been worked out.
Because practice makes
permanent. Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
right. Well, I really appreciate that answer because in the TYRO world, we teach the levels of adulthood. From a witness to a high witness, all the way up to a master. And a master, something that we're striving for every day, and that's to becoming self-governing unit, where we can impart or actually bring out great characteristics that are in each individual, right? And one of them is discipline that you're describing. I think to answer the question, I think about. When something that I say and that we say as TYRO facilitators or to the men that we're speaking with, your best thinking got you where?
Right.
Here. So on your best day, the best day of your life, it landed you in the penitentiary. And so one thing that I think that somebody has to change and really become conscious of, they got to change the way they think. And what you were talking about is know your triggers. Know the vices in your life. Know what it is that causes you to slip and fall.
And make a plan to manage those things. And so that plan is changing the way you're thinking so that it translates into actually action or inaction when it's like, okay, I need to do nothing. I need to be okay just standing here. Or you know what? I need to do something in order to become better.
I teach a lot. If you can change your attitude, right, then you can change your behavior. And once you change your attitude and behavior, your outcome will automatically change.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been our pleasure to be part of your journey towards successful reentry and actually towards reaching your own dreams.
So if you're looking to become a TYRO, look for your local case manager, your local facilitator, and sign up for this TYRO wonderful, life-changing course. And we want to thank Dan Williams for being on this show today. Formerly known as, but today he's known as a man of honor, man of good character, a man worth following, and we love Dan, and we really appreciate him. So Dan, thank you for being on the show today.
Absolutely.
With us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So next time we will be back with more shows, more information that are going to help you on your journey to becoming a person worth following.
So always remember, we are rooting for you.
I am a man of honor.
I am a man of integrity.
I am a man of faith. I am the antidote.
I am a man of discipline. I am a leader.
I am strong.
I am a man worth following.
I am a TYRO.